Today for our daily cancellation, we must revisit the body positivity movement or the fat acceptance movement or the fat liberation movement. There are many different names for this movement. All sorts of movements are associated with the celebration of fatness, which is ironic seeing as how a lack of movement is exactly what leads to fatness in the first place. But we begin with the trials and tribulations of fat people when they are traveling. A viral TikTok video featuring a teacher by the name of Mary Frances Donnelly purports to show the sort of discrimination that obese individuals encounter simply by checking into a hotel room. This is apparently a whole series of videos, but we'll watch just one to get the idea. Here it is.
Welcome to Our Hotel's Fat Phobic. With me, your host, your resident fat Mary Fran. Come hither. Let's take a look at the bathroom. As one might see, it looks normal. Would you like to take a pee or a poop? Don't worry, you'll barely fit. Perhaps a shower. Oh, need a towel to dry off? Don't worry, it won't fit. Oh, yes, so nice of me to go outside. Oh.
So she appears to have a good sense of humor about things in that video, which is nice. A nice change of pace from the sort of hectoring scold tone that you get from most TikTok videos of this sort. But a report from ABC News explains that this is no laughing matter. They interviewed Donnelly about her Traveling as a Fat Person series, and this is how she explained it. Quote, "This video is my way of highlighting a very real stress I felt for years and have only recently begun to unpack as I have looked at my existence as a fat/plus-size person in this world." The article then continues, "While the tone of the videos is light, these things can affect how travelers move within that space. Donnelly isn't alone. The comment section on her video are flooded with people in solidarity offering up similar experiences. Quote, "I travel with my own bath sheet and pool towel to avoid the tiny towel debacle shown in the TikTok video," Annette Richmond, founder of Fat Girls Traveling, told GMA. Quote, "I have to become a travel detective while booking accommodations, investigating the hotel chairs and bed frames, avoiding plastic chairs, chairs with arms and metal bed frames at all costs because they can buckle under pressure." The message this sends to plus-size travelers, Donnelly said, is that a vacation can't truly be a vacation. Travelers either have to deal with humiliation or prime a trip with hours of research into what a room's sizing and amenities may look like, she said. Quote, "Simple things like a towel size or whether a chair is stable enough to hold a person's weight is completely disregarded and chalked up to the traveler's issue," she said. Quote, "It furthers the narrative that larger-bodied people are expected to roll with the punches and accept this sort of treatment because since the dawn of diet culture, we've been made to feel like we're the problem." Okay, well, I'm not sure if there's any delicate way to put this, but if you find that you need to research ahead of time what sort of furniture will be in your hotel room for fear that it won't support your weight, then yes, ma'am, you are the problem. Or rather, we should say you have the problem. The problem is that you carry so much weight on your body that an average piece of furniture cannot sustain it. Whose problem is that if not yours? I mean, who has introduced that problem into the equation? Who's really at fault? Apparently the hotel is at fault for not making their chairs out of, concrete. We can find a similar theme in another article published this week. This one from the website Fast Company about the changes your workplace should make in order to better accommodate the fattest among us. It gives a number of helpful tips, like suggesting that any office wellness programs should be, quote, weight neutral. In other words, you should redefine wellness to include morbid obesity and heart disease. In other words, you should redefine wellness to include unwellness. Of course, we're warned that any office swag like t-shirts should come in large enough sizes that it could potentially double as a bedsheet. And then it says this about the furniture. Quote, "Companies that are serious about size inclusion should look at their facilities and workspaces," says Peggy Howell, Vice Chairman and Public Relations Director of the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance. "Think about including seats without arms or a combination of typical chairs and bench seating to accommodate larger bodies. The organization has created an HR guide and defines a size-friendly chair as one with a seat size of 22.225 inches and a back size of 23 inches width and 23 inches height. Chair seats should be height adjustable and should accommodate at least 450 pounds. At least 450 pounds. Think about that. Just for reference, Andre the Giant was only 70 pounds heavier than that at 520 pounds, but he was well over 7 feet tall. Aaron Gibson was an offensive lineman and one of the heaviest men to ever play in the NFL. He was 6'6" and clocked in at around 410 pounds. Most NFL linemen weigh 300 pounds less than that. So to be clear, the National Association for Fat Acceptance says that in order to be truly fat accepting, you must specifically accommodate people who are heavier than the heaviest NFL player to ever play the game. And I don't mean to belabor the point here, okay, but the tallest man in recorded history was a guy named Robert Wadlow. He was almost 9 feet tall. He reached, I think it was 8'11" is what he reached by the time of his death. 9 feet tall, and he weighed 440 pounds. Okay? The people who weigh 440 pounds today are not 9 feet tall. Many of them aren't even 6 feet tall. So my point here is just that 450 pounds is very, very, very overweight. I think in order, by the CDC's BMI calculation, in order for 450 to be a normal or healthy weight, you would have to be like 9.5 feet tall. So when the fat acceptance movement calls for fat acceptance, they aren't simply saying that we should get rid of the beauty standards which demand that women all have the weight and physique of an upside down mop. You know, most of us agree that rail thin should not be the standard, and it isn't the standard anymore, and hasn't been for a while. I mean, everyone agrees on that. But fat acceptance goes way beyond that. They're calling for acceptance of extreme, morbid, dangerous, fatal obesity. The type that requires a lifestyle of chronic gluttony and laziness to achieve. Yeah, there are thyroid conditions, there are, people have different body types and all of that. People have different metabolisms. I get all of that. But that doesn't explain 450 pounds. That doesn't explain morbid obesity. And for that reason, fat acceptance is an evil, despicable, anti-human movement. It's not different. It's no different from anorexia acceptance or bulimia acceptance. It's just on the opposite end of the spectrum. There is no difference morally speaking. It is a celebration of self-destruction either way. And there's something else too. I mean, this fat acceptance stuff is a symptom of a larger problem, pun sort of intended. The problem is that in our culture today, we're losing one of the most basic skills, one of the most fundamental capacities for any living organism. That is the ability to adapt to our surroundings. Okay? Now, like any capacity, this has to be moderated. It's possible to be too adaptive, to try and blend in too much, but when properly utilized, adaptation for a human being means simply that we are conforming ourselves and our behavior to the structures of reality. We are accommodating reality. And like we talked about in the opening, these days, though, accommodation is supposed to go the other way around. We constantly expect that reality will accommodate us. So we're going to be however we want to be and whoever we want to be, and we demand that all of reality, all of society, fit in around us. We walk through our lives every day like Moses standing in front of the Red Sea, demanding that it part and allow us to walk across. Only whereas Moses used the power of the Almighty to part the sea, we try to use the power of social pressure, of cancel culture, of activism, of government, or some combination of these to accomplish the same end. And it works, oftentimes. The entitled, whiny baby who's able to browbeat everyone else into conforming themselves to him, he's able to do that so that he doesn't have to conform himself to them. They accommodate him instead of him accommodating them. It does often work these days. It works in that immediate sense anyway. But it doesn't work in the deeper sense. It doesn't make the whiny baby happy or fulfilled. That's why he remains a whiny baby, even after he gets what he wants. He is still miserable because he's clinging on to his own destruction. The thing that he refuses to let go of is the very thing that is causing his despair. The thing that he wants everyone to accommodate is the thing that's destroying him. He can force everyone to pretend that these bad parts of himself are good, but he can't actually make the bad parts good. They're still bad. They'll still destroy him. They will still make him unhappy, because in the end, reality wins. It always does, one way or another. Even after all of us are gone, reality remains. And for that reason, the woman in that TikTok video is canceled. Once again, it was a long journey to get there, but we get back around to the cancellation. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there so you can stay up to date on all of our future content.